historicizing the document. Now that some of you all would have downloaded the NSAP, you all could see practically the action items and the agencies responsible. This happens between 2023 and the year 2027. So we have a finite period to implement several projects outlining the NSAP, and agency have been identified. Now I would quickly provide an intervention on the way forward from the NSAP. Whoop. Sorry, yeah, that's me. Hey, sorry. Yo, Rastan technology is another story, yeah, but let me do the thing. But we invent the iPhone, iPad, iMan. So, that was still, I know. I was trying to be funny. Yeah, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah, we're good. So the first thing that we want to establish is that this isn't a paper on the shelf. It is not a paper on the shelf because we have done the consultative work with different partners in our society. Academia, as Ms. Hart established, development partners, as Ms. Broadbent put forward, and of course, throughout government. Secondly, the design of the NSAP was really developed by our beautiful staff at UN Women. And we will have this distributed to the public nationally so that every person has one in their hand. Yes, they could download the PDF, but we believe that each person must have access to the National Strategic Action Plan on gender-based violence. Secondly, our minister emphasized it must have a child-friendly version to it. And gender and child affairs, often we convert major policy documents, as we have done with the National Child Policy, into animation, as well as animated graphics for people to have access to it. This plan is no different, because this is an imperative for all. And now we have established a direct implementation strategy. To move from talk to action, as you all know, there are some challenges. You need real human bodies to govern a process in a state institution. Secondly, we need to ensure that this fits our work into a fiscal year. There is no real plan that could be action if we don't think that it must fit a budget item which was accounted for since September to be implemented within the fiscal year. That is the hard facts for government realities. Civil society may have more flexibility as well as the private sector. But in the direct implementation strategy, one of the first things we will be doing is contacting each and every stakeholder here today, but also our government partners and civil society partners to discuss ownership. Some of the action items have been established already in the National Strategic Action Plan. Read it for yourself. Take it back to your permanent secretary. We have contacted ministers about the items between 2023 to 2027. The second thing which we must be transparent about, transparencia, is to look at the capacities for action. We can acknowledge we may have limited geographic reach, and sometimes a civil society partner helps bridge that gap. And sometimes our ministry has important capacity around law enforcement, and now we rely on MSDFS for the social development side. Understanding the limits of our capacity, but the assets that we bring to the table is very important to the direct implementation strategy. And last, community-based interventions. This plan is explicit about the approach. It is not status, it is all of government and all of society. But it is also not centralized. It is decentralized through local government, municipalities, and regions. And we are hoping all can understand the community-based approach in which we apply the National Strategic Action Plan on Gender-Based Violence. As something as subtle as Zakia Gill established in her spoken word performance, the condition of roads. Well, what does that tell us about work in the community, and who are the contractors? Or do we still have the role of water women in our work? And in terms of mobility, what kind of access do people have in areas? What happens in Beetham Gardens may not necessarily have to happen in Mayaro, or Cedrus, or Blanchisseuse. And that is the point of on Tobago, all of Tobago, that is the point. Yeah, I get disrespectful there, man. Sorry. Yo, I saved the best for last in life. So I was getting there anyway. So, yeah, community-based intervention. So that's muy importante. But this is what I want to communicate to each and every stakeholder here this afternoon. What is the way forward? This plan will be distributed throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Secondly, you are an owner of the NSAP on GBV and sexual violence. Third, we will coordinate a national sensitization to raise awareness with the public about what is gender-based violence, why this is a development priority, and these are the range of actors involved in reducing gender-based violence and sexual violence. Then we have to strengthen our governance structure. So the Interministerial Committee on Domestic Violence, as you would see in the plan, has one of the principal responsibilities of monitoring what is happening with the NSAP. We need more partners. You are those partners who need to be on board to help guide that process. And last, as the Honorable Minister Anna Webster-Roy spoke about state accountability, annually we will communicate a progress update and the insights learned on the NSAP. From plan to action, during the fiscal year, and I'm just drawing a quick example here. Some of the items outlined in the NSAP already exist. That doesn't mean the work is done. It means that we can update OPM GCA, which plays a coordinating role, on the work that is taking place right now. Media sensitization, item 1.2.3, train media and GBV and sexual violence champions to advocate for GBV and SV. We're doing that work in OPM. Engaging men and boys, groups and networks to champion elimination of violence against women and girls. We are in the process of forming a men's gender equality bureau. Implement general multi-year GBV sensitization campaign. Now that we have a full-time gender training officer, we would continue to have the National Gender Training Program, for which we have already engaged secondary school students, vocational students in vocational educational training, as well as civil society groups. Design and execute economic empowerment. Go on the Beetham Gardens, ask about us. We don't there. And then you go, we organize 6 women's economic empowerment outreaches in Tobago and throughout Trinidad and Tobago. And then we have the STEP program, which will be launched on March the 6th, and you are cordially invited. So the NSAP, we also understand it as a knowledge product which needs to be communicative, where young people, they just need to just benefit this because we think it's important. But that is where a lot of the women's rights and gender equality groups are. They have leadership to advance the very aims established in the NSAP. They are not just beneficiaries of the program, but they are champions and leaders. And the child-friendly NSAP is to ensure that children have that capacity because we recognize their agencies and abilities. So dissemination is happening now. Stakeholders and owners, you all are. Read the NSAP, and we are always available in OPM GCA to provide technical assistance and support. Sensitization will be rolling out, and we would love to do it in a collaborative manner. We're going to strengthen the IMC and the NSAP governance structure with your participation, and then ensure that we have state accountability where we have annual updates. Though in the policy, the NSAP is written at the top of the OPM GC is written at the top of the governance structure. We want to make it explicitly clear, and the PS guaranteed this. We are equal partners. You're not answering to OPM GCA for the National Strategic Action Plan on Gender-Based Violence and Sexual Violence. You are working with us to achieve a collective goal for the government and the society. Is that clear? Is it clear? Good. I'm already almost finished, so thank you very much. Yeah.